You are listening to the default audio track, which includes instructional narrative for this video. If you'd like to turn off the instructional audio, simply press the audio button on your DVD remote, and you can turn this off, listen to just music, or press it a third time, and you'll just get the sounds of the ride. Welcome to Anaerobic 3, Hillervals. This workout is taking place today in Wisconsin. We're just over the Minnesota border, east of St. Paul, Minneapolis, about 45 minutes or so. And we are lucky enough to have some good friends who organize this ride, and got a nice group of people together. So we'll be rolling our way through the country, farmlands of Wisconsin. Let's use this time to just warm up, and eventually we want to raise our heart rate up to about 80% of max, so we can spin it in a fairly easy gear, get those legs warmed up, and this ride started out pretty fast, so didn't want to do that to you. So the workout data is off screen right now. And we'll be warming up for about 10 minutes. Get those heart rate monitors registering. If you have a heart rate monitor that will register as a percent of max, that will be real helpful. Because when we're doing the intervals, The heart rate and efforts change very rapidly. And it's hard to, well, if you're doing beats per minute, it might be hard to calculate what your effort should be. Yep, these guys are setting a pretty brisk pace here. And we're just gonna sit on the wheel. And let the guy up front do all the work. Let's get our cadence up to around 90 to 100 RPM. Well, for those of you who have purchased other BitBot videos, I hope I can provide some new information mixed in with some old. These training videos, or the narrative, I try to cover more than just yelling at you, telling you to get out of the saddle and work harder, although I do help you become aware of some of the hills and harder efforts. But I also like to talk about the ride, the people, and what the workout is designed to help you with and improve on. We're gonna kick it into a pretty good gear here and start working out pretty hard. So there's our workout data, and let's just go ahead and start following those gear ratios and add some resistance. Don't forget to drink your water. A water bottle that pops up should tell you to do that. We're working out pretty hard here. Getting our heart rate up. Stay on that wheel. Lower our effort. Soft pedal a bit. Let some of the group catch up. Don't let the heart rate plummet too quickly. A little hill here. So a big ring up front. You gotta be careful. If you have a compact setup, then the gear ratio discrepancy can make it difficult. All right, let's catch our breath. Soft pedal. The gear ratios are calculated if you have like a 40-50, 42-50, 52. Not like a 39-53. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. If you do, then you know what I'm talking about. So, this video is named Hillervals. It's a mix between an interval workout and a natural setting in the hills of Wisconsin, Minnesota. I was surprised by the number of hills and also how steep they got in places. And being down near sea level, I had a little more spunk than usual, so I was hitting the hills pretty hard and letting the heart rate just fly on up. So you'll see some pretty high heart rates, high efforts in spots, followed by rest and recovery. Here's a little effort here as we get back on the group coming past us. So slowly accelerate. Lift your cadence back up. Let your heart rate gradually come up as well. And descending. This is zero cadence. Well, you can coast. If you're on a spin bike, I'd recommend just soft pedaling. Take off all of your resistance and just give your legs a break. Well, the way I like to approach the information in these rides is pretend I'm talking to somebody with no experience in cycling or very little. So if you have a lot of miles under your belt and I'm talking to you about what a big gear means, then I'm sorry if that's offensive, but otherwise you might not know what I'm talking about. For example, earlier I said, get on a wheel and stay on that wheel. Well, that means that we want to get into cyclist draft. Here's a hill. Let's get our big ring up front and work up to the top of it, raising our heart rate rapidly, 90% of max. Good climbing cadence, 75 to 80 RPM. And back down. So when we say get on a wheel, take my wheel, that means get close enough behind the rider in front of you that you feel that wind resistance cutting down. You'll save about 60% energy if you're in a nice tight draft. Add some resistance here. We're gonna pop it up this hill. Big gear. Let's even get out of the saddle here. And we're gonna work up to the wheels in front of us. Keep pumping up it. Lots of positive resistance in the legs. Really feeling the hill. Heart rate should be shooting up. I'm gonna work hard here. Keep the effort up. That tower is the top. There they are. take off some resistance. Slowly let your heart rate slow up. We're still pedaling. We're not working as hard, but it takes a while to recover your heart rate down to aerobic levels. Especially when you're jumping from the red zone and you're still pedaling after you hit that red zone. And now let's put in an easier gear. Slow our cadence down. Or pick it up. Easy enough gear that you can follow the cadence and heart rate at the same time. So if you haven't already noticed, I'm on the trainer right with you. So I'm experiencing the same pain and difficulty as you are. And when we start hitting those red zone efforts, I'm not going to be able to talk much. So when we're resting, I'll try and spit out some information for you. So interval training, if you haven't already figured it out, is basically a systematic and methodological way to work up to your maximum and then recover. And so typically, if you're out on the road and you're doing an interval workout, you're finding a even terrain, something that's consistently flat or consistently uphill, but you're not looking for too much variation in terrain. And then you're usually doing about a 15-20 second interval with about 3 minutes of recovery, meaning that in that 15-20 seconds you're applying maximum effort, trying to get up to 100% of your max heart rate, and then you stop and you recover. And it's a real important training technique, especially for racing, because what you're trying to do is increase your max threshold. You're increasing your pain threshold, and you're actually training your max heart rate. And so if you do enough intervals, your max heart rate at the beginning of the season will be lower than at the end, especially if you're racing. And you'd be surprised at how effective it is. And having that little extra gas in the engine when the folks in front of you are accelerating up a hill or sprinting to a finish line is critical if you want to win a race. Little hill here, we can add some resistance. Nice hill climb gear. Cadence around 80. Heart rate should just go right up. And taking it off and recovering. We can either soft pedal through these coasting sections, which I prefer, or if you really need that break, go ahead and rest and stop pedaling. Normally, I don't recommend interval training for people who are just beginning their cycling hobby activity. Little hill here. Let's feel it in the legs just a bit. A little bit more. Training your max heart rate, or trying to increase your max heart rate when you're just trying to build a base or a foundation of fitness isn't going to do a whole heck of a lot of good. It'll wear you out, and it might demotivate you, as you'll be too sore to function the next day. And cycling is really a sport of going day to day and trying to ride a little bit every day, with maybe a couple days off. Typically our cycling routine varies, and we do something a little different each day. And true interval training will really kill you. It hurts, and it's really hard to recover after it, and that's what it's designed for. Next day you should be walking a little funny, and the day after a true interval workout probably be a good recovery day. Just do a really gentle ride. So Hillervals, what are those? It's kind of a in between a interval workout, a road ride, and a endurance ride. And basically when you're riding on the roads, typically you don't have something perfectly flat unless you live in Modesto. And your efforts are dictated by people and hills. So this kind of type of workout today will help prepare you for variable terrains and variable efforts. Some of the intervals that we will do will get pretty high. It'll be in the 90 to 95% of max. And then you rest. But there's nothing consistent about how long you work, because the effort is dictated by the length of the climb or the guys in front of you, and so is the recovery. let's just start kind of the soft pedal here with a little bit bigger gear. Keeping our heart rate about 80% of max. Just our lactic acid threshold. Now, if you do want to do planned intervals and discipline yourself, there's a couple things that you might want to ask yourself is, what's my max heart rate? Got to find that out. So if you've gone 100% of effort, or you've gone as hard as you can until you feel like you're going to die, after about the second interval, second or third, that's pretty close to your max. So you should record that number. You might find that over the course of a few months, your max will get higher. That's normal. And all you have to do is program your new maximum heart rate into your heart rate monitor. Got a little hill here. It's going to work us up to the top. Nice climbing cadence around 70 to 80. Another question you might ask is, how long should I rest and how long should I work for? And those numbers are going to vary based on your conditioning. Little hill, harder gear. Let's get the heart rate up. Big ring. And take it all off. An interval might also, your effort levels or your max efforts might vary based on the event you're training for. Like maybe a flat crit stage, you might want to do intervals at 30 seconds or so with a 2-minute rest or less. Yeah, 2 minutes, 30. Yeah, that's about right. That'll hurt. If you've got a road stage with some variable terrain, I might recommend doing shorter spurts, like a 15-second interval with a 3-minute rest. Now, I would recommend probably just doing one interval workout per week and really apply yourself to hitting those maximums and making yourself really work. So the next day you're really not motivated to get on a bike. You'd rather just sit in bed all day. That's how you should feel. That's how it does feel. Little hill here. Let's pedal our way up to 80%. But after an interval workout, I went and sit around the next day, do a recovery ride, zone 1, zone 2 ride. Basically meaning don't let your heart rate get over 70% of max. Let's descend here. Keeping everything in a zone 1 is about between 60 to 70. Zone 2 is 70 to 80. But on a recovery ride, I try to keep everything under 75% of max. And a nice little descent here. Just let your heart rate recover. Need a soft pedal to keep your heart rate at the recommended, and soft pedal. Looking over the glove. Now remember that racing and interval training are different workouts. So a lot of guys will race once a week and do an interval workout once a week. It's pretty crazy, but you'll definitely get stronger. When I started racing, or right before I started racing, my max heart rate, right about 180, 185. And I think part of the reason why my max was that number was because I couldn't discipline or motivate myself to work any harder than that. After a season of racing, my max heart rate jumped up to about 200. And then after the winter, my max heart rate fell down to about 190. So at least those were the maxes that I was able to maintain or achieve. Maybe under different circumstances I might have been able to vary those a bit, but max heart rate is a dynamic number, not stagnant. Little hill here, so let's raise our effort. A little harder gear. and flattening out. And a little bit downhill. Soft pedal. Bring that heart rate down. Some people encourage interval training for weight loss, but I don't. I think it needs to be used in conjunction with a weight loss program, but the discipline itself doesn't contribute much. Basically, the goal to weight loss is burning calories over extended periods of time. So you want to do a 2-hour bike ride, hour and a half to 2 hours. That's a nice weight loss time. And unfortunately, if you're doing a true interval workout, you probably won't be able to maintain much more than an hour before being too tired to really hit those maximums. Imagine just basically like going into a gym and lifting weights. Those are interval workouts. So you can maybe do an hour in a gym and lift as hard and heavy as you can. And by the time that hour is over, you really can't accomplish that heavy lifting anymore, so might as well go home. There's not much more you can do for your body after that. Got a little climb here, not much. So if you're only going out for an hour doing your interval workout, you're going to be spending most of that time in the red zone. And you won't be burning a lot of glucose. Your fat cells aren't engaging. You're producing a chemical compound called ATP. And you're deriving your energy from that. Anaerobic respiration. However, like I said, I'd use interval workouts in conjunction with weight training or weight loss training, because it's a great way to condition your body and be able to sustain higher efforts for longer. So you can take your bike rides from an hour and a half to 3 hours or more. Feel pretty good when you're done, and you'll burn gobs and gobs of calories. If you're just starting your conditioning program, you look at an hour and 20-minute workout video and say, good Lord, not right now. But that's something you should work up to. A little turn here. So the workout will get a little more difficult from here. And the next disc is even harder. Let's keep our heart rate anaerobic. The neutral gear. Neutral gear is comparable to a flat road, the feel. So you're going by feel. And if you're using that resistance scale from 1 to 10, and 4 to 5 is a flat road, 6 is maybe with a slight headwind, 7 is a hill climb, 8 is steeper, and 10 is a full out of the saddle climb. Maintain 85%. Get a little rest here. And then a hill right up ahead will put us back up to about 88% of max. Let's keep the legs just gently turning. And you can see the hill coming. Let's just start adding resistance. And we should be feeling the climb here, feeling it in our legs. Really pushing down on the pedals. Big ring up front. Big climb. Come on, big effort here. And down the backside. Got a few more of those. Let's focus on getting that gear into a heavy gear and really hammering on the pedals. I want that heart rate to go up quickly as soon as we're on the hill. Got another one here. Let's go ahead and get into a neutral gear. Keep the cadence up. Start adding resistance and more. Let's get the heart rate moving. Big ring up front. And down. recover. Another big effort right up ahead. And we got a little bit of deficit to make up. We pulled over. So let's get our heart rate up. Playing catch up here. We'll get some positive resistance. Headwind. Back it off. Yeah. A flat tire. Use this excuse to rest. We think we're being altruistic, but just resting. Well, right here we're gonna start needing to hammer up to the top of this hill. So I want a nice high cadence, high gear, big gear. I want to feel some real positive resistance in the legs. We're really pushing. We're staying in the saddle through this whole climb. We want to get that heart rate up to 95% as we attempt to wheel in the group and let them know about that group that's off the back. So I'm not going to talk here. Just breathe. Take it off. Phew. So now we're back where that flat tire was. And we get to go back up that same hill. A little lower intensity this time. Get our heart rate back to about 80%. Often I'm asked, how many miles do you do? And my answer is how many miles I can get in the time I have allotted for the ride. What's important to understand is that it's not about how many miles you go, even though for most people those are the bragging rights. It's really how fast you did those miles in, and also how long you can stay on the bike. Saddle time is an important variable when planning a workout regimen. Like I said before, interval training is about an hour, 45 minutes, even less sometimes. If you've got a short lunch break, you want to go out and just really hurt yourself, then an interval workout is ideal for those short rides. And it really doesn't matter how many miles you did. As a matter of fact, you're so incredibly inefficient when you interval train and you hit those max heart rates. You're much slower than if you just sustained a 70% of max average over the same course of time. My buddy and I were doing some intervals while riding with a group of about 3 other guys. And we were doing 3 minutes on, 15 seconds, or 3 minutes rest, 15 seconds work. And for that 15-second period, out of the saddle, sprint for everything we had, stare each other down, good bragging rights, then recover for 3 minutes, try and rest the heart rate back down to your aerobic zone. Well, by the end of the ride, you would expect that our friends who are riding with us would be way behind us. But when the ride was over, we were having a hard time catching back up to them. And we would use their rear wheel as our stopping point. So we'd sprint up to their wheel and then rest. And we'd be so gone that we had nothing left to pedal with. And they were riding past us, talking about their girlfriends, friends, family. Nothing. No work. They were comfortable as could be. And I was dead. So interval training are one of those things you kind of keep to yourself. Nobody really wants to know what you did. Say, I went out and did intervals. Oh wow, that's great. How many miles did you do? Nice soft pedal here. Keeping the cadence up. 88, 90. Let's flush out the lactic acid in the legs. Keeping our heart rate right about 80%. We got a nice little break here. Won't be working too hard. You see that little saw edge coming to the right of that black line. We got 4 short, tough sets that we really want to hammer. Or maybe 5. 4 big ones, 2 little ones. So if you want to know how to gauge your fitness on rides, there's a lot of different ways to do that. Like I said, it's not about miles, it's about how long you can stay in the saddle. And one quick way to gauge your fitness is discovering how much longer you can ride from day to day. You start out with a half-hour workout. A week later, you're up to an hour. A couple weeks after that, you're up to an hour and a half. And before you know it, you can do 3, 4, 5-hour rides and still feel pretty good after they're finished. Soft pedaling here, bringing the heart rate down. Another way to gauge your fitness is by testing your max heart rate from month to month. And if you see an increase, you're doing really well. The rule of thumb is your maximum heart rate is 220 minus your age. If your max heart rate is above that, consider yourself above average. If it's below that, just keep plugging away, working, teaching your body how to withstand higher efforts. And before you know it, you'll be above average. It goes very quickly. Within your first year of cycling, you'll lose a lot of weight and exponentially improve your health. Alright, we got a few nice quick climbs here. The first one is coming up. And then there's also finding your VO2 max, which is your anaerobic threshold. And there's actually a formula to calculate that. To increase our resistance, I've got that formula on my website, www.cyclingvideosonline. And your VO2 max, like your max heart rate, is also dynamic. And really knowing what your VO2 max is a good way to just compare yourself with other athletes. See how you might fare in a race. We're slowly raising up our heart rate here to 80%. This is typically our anaerobic threshold. It looks like we're probably waiting for some folks. Oh no, we just missed our turn. Slowly recover. Make sure you have some water on hand. You're going to start sweating pretty profusely here. Now this little segment here is a good example of why riding in a group can be very beneficial for your health. because people push you much harder than you can push yourself. Now we're going to start our climb here. And we're going to watch for some nice fast accelerations up the hill. And watch for the other cyclists' reactions. And use those to gauge your own. And try to keep the intensity up. A lot of young riders or beginning riders feel intimidated by groups. I'm here to encourage you not to feel intimidated. Nobody judges you in a group. They judge themselves. Getting that heart rate back up here. Little hill coming down. And back up. Hill's getting a little tougher. Should be feeling resistance. Nice positive resistance. A little steeper. Big ring up front here. And out of the saddle. Now let's get up to the top. Now really want that heart rate shooting right up. That's a short climb. Working those gears over. Nice big 10 out of 10 here. One of those crazy short steep hill climbs. You have to make yourself get over. Look at the cadence. And down. Keep pedaling. Bring the effort down. Nice easy gear. Recover. Real short. Another climb right up ahead. Just like the last one. It's 1 out of 4. 3 more to go. Get your cadence up. Add some resistance. You can see the hill right in front of us here. Don't let your heart rate drop below 85. Cadence is nice and high. And slow it up here. We're looking at the climb. Oh man, here we go. Add some resistance. I want to feel positive resistance in the legs here. Hill is slowing you down. And we're fighting for the top. Big gear up front. Shoot for the top. Stay in the saddle, work those legs. Stop sign here. And take it off. A little bit off. Neutral gear. Keep pedaling. Easy gear here. We got 2 more. And the second or third starting right now. Let's get the cadence up nice and high. Add a little resistance. A little bit more because the efforts are climbing here. Just put in a climbing gear. Get that heart rate up quickly. Get it in your climbing gear. Keep those legs going. We're using a nice high cadence here. Staying on a wheel. And take it off. One more. And next one is a nice, good sprint up the hill. And it starts out quick, so we're going to charge up it. Let's work up, add some resistance. Get it up into your climbing gear. Feeling the hill here, and here it goes. Come on. It's good. Big green up front, and out of the saddle. Come on. Nice high cadence out of the saddle climb. Big effort. And back down. Take off some resistance. And we're gonna soft pedal to the end of this DVD, of this video. This ride is about halfway over. You want to keep the simulation alive. Throw on the second disc. And I'll start out where you left off. And the effort levels will be harmonious with what you're feeling. Or if you want to continue this workout at a later date, disc 2 will probably start out a little higher intensities than what you might be comfortable with if you're not warmed up. So if you're not going to finish this workout today, then make sure you warm up before you start disc 2. Disc 2 takes what we did today and steps it into higher gear with a lot of little intervals and a really strong high effort finale.
You are listening to the default audio track, which includes instructional narrative. If you'd like to turn off the narrative and just listen to music, press the audio button on your DVD remote. Press it again, and you'll be listening to just the sounds of the ride. Everybody clicked in, ready to go. Welcome to part 2 of Hillervals. If you're continuing from disc 1, just keep pace with the video. We had a little rest, so the heart rates are a little lower, but they'll rebound quite rapidly. Otherwise, just start a slow warm-up. Get the legs spinning. Keep it in your easy gear. Now let's slowly work our heart rate up to about 80% of max. And then we'll start following the goals set forth by the actual ride. As you can see by the lower graph, there's a lot of changes in effort. Those peaks in red are right around 90% of max. We'll be seeing a few of those. And then some rest and recovery in between. This isn't too difficult until we hit the end of the ride, where we'll be bearing down and working up some tough little climbs and keeping the pace up to the finish. The top profile shows our hill profile, and it doesn't look like there's anything major, but the little bumps definitely encourage us to work our way up. And there's something about a short little climb like that that keeps the fire in the belly rumbling. And we like to get up over the top of these nice and fast. Heart rate goes right up. Start adding a little bit of resistance if you're warming up. Get the legs in gear, get that blood flowing. Start working up a good little sweat. Let's try and get that warm up in before we get to that first big effort. Keep the legs moving. Nice cadence of around 80 to 85 RPM. And add a little more resistance. And let's take it to the next level. Get our heart rate up to 85%. Add some extra resistance. Keeping the cadence right around 80 RPM. Here's our little hill. Get your effort up. Add some resistance. Right past that barn. Let's keep the effort up. It's a nice steady grade. You can see a few people slightly ahead of us. Let's get in our drops and bring him in. Add some, take off the resistance and up the cadence. 100 RPM. And we're back on. Let's reduce the effort. Get into a neutral gear. And let's just keep pace. A little hill here. Add a little resistance. And down the backside. Easy gear, soft pedal, or coast. And bring the heart rate down. If you notice by that lower graph, the efforts accelerate quickly, and the heart rate goes up quick and goes down quick. So when you see something coming, don't try and second guess the changes, and don't increase your effort slowly. Pop it into a nice big gear, enough to get that heart rate up. Those little red spikes right around 95% until we get to the end where they're up to close to 97, 98%. So each one of those little red spikes, let's make a conscious effort to hit those heart rate goals and not give up. We got a little hill here, right at that barn, that red barn past the grain tower here. Let's start putting it into heavier gear and get the heart rate up. Shift up, add some resistance. Look out for the dog. And let's get up this hill. Positive pressure through the pedals, keeping the legs working all the way up. Really drive it up here. Nice big gear. Really work for it. Almost up, and drop it down. And we can coast, soft pedal. Put it into a neutral gear. Add a little bit extra. Create the sensation of a slight hill. Keeping the cadence fairly low. We're going to slowly, on this hill, increase our effort and our heart rate. Steady cadence, steady tempo. Big ring up front. Let's get up to the top. Out of the saddle here. We're not hammering for the top, just dancing on the pedals. The heart rate come up slow. And over the top. Drop it down into a neutral gear. Soft pedal or coast. You can see the next hill right up there. And let's bring it down. This workout will force you to drink a lot of water, so make sure you have plenty on board. And stay hydrated. Pausing in 3, 2, 1. beginning of the video in 3, 2, 1. And another small effort here. Just keep it going. And over the top. Neutral gear. And soft pedal coast. Up a little grade here. And it's fairly flat. Cadence is right around 90. Nice and steady. Add some resistance. Let's bring the heart rate up. This is Mike, our cameraman, doing the rear view. See the camera on his helmet. Mike is a strong cat. He makes it look easy. And bringing it down. Let's get the heart rate down into the green just to get it right back up again. Let's keep some gas in the tank. If you have a chance to rest between the climbs, 80% of max is a nice number to shoot for. And then those little climbs, you put yourself up into the red, about 92 to 95% of your max. That'll get you nice and pooped. Keeping the cadences up pretty good. right around 90. In a neutral gear, should feel like you're pedaling with a slight tailwind on a flat road. At 4 out of 5. And just add a click here. Cadence is easy. Got a nice little break here until we get to the next hill. So these interval workouts are excellent fat burners, fantastic for strength building. We have to use pretty much any fuel we have in our body in order to maintain this level. And our body just really doesn't know what to do. Producing ATP, burning blood glucose, eating all the food in your stomach. By the end of this, you're exhausted, hungry, and sore. Here's our climb here. Let's pop it into a fairly heavy gear. Let's just drive to the top here. It's short. And back down. Heart rate's about 85%. The next hill is going to move it on up. Back on Mike's wheel, he's gonna make us work. And watch out, especially when he's up front. It's Chris in the red. Another solid rider. And Maria on front to the right. Now she's right in front of Mike in the blue jersey. She's got heart. All right, add some resistance. Let's get up to the top. Nice heavy gear. And take a little off for the stop, but let's just keep going. Cadence here is pretty high. A little bit more hill to go. Sitting in a draft, it's not too bad. A little braking effort there. And back up. Add some resistance. If you're not feeling your legs, you're doing it wrong. And slowing up here. Here we have a few riders off the back. Let them catch up. Use this opportunity. Slow down the heart rate. I believe that marks the beginning. Let's go get them. Put it into a neutral pursuit gear, just ahead of neutral. Got the wind in our face, and we're covering some ground. Driving the heart rate right back up to about 80%. And we got another hill just there. That's going to put us back into the red. Add some extra resistance. Short break. Little hill. Let's just keep the legs moving. Easy gear. And soft pedal. Good little climb here, so let's add some resistance. And we're going to pop it right up into a fairly heavy gear and get up to the top. The heart rate's going to go up pretty quick here. So nice heavy gear. You see we're working. Here comes Mike. And there goes the heart rate. Let's keep it up nice and high. See the interstate, and our hill goes over the top. It's not much, but it's still a hill. Up and over. Almost. Take some resistance off here. And then put it back on. And slowly bring down our heart rate and put in a nice easy gear. Soft pedal. Let the group come back on. These interval workouts are, like I said, great for building strength, and will increase your speed, your low end. When you're cranking the bigger gears, you're going to crank them for longer periods of time, be able to apply more pressure to the pedals, and be able to control your heart rate, so that when the time requires it and you have a hill or an acceleration, or if you're racing, this type of training is perfect for that. When you're resting and then applying power, you're improving your pain thresholds. Nothing worse than starting from being cold and then driving up effort. It's very, very tough. So your pain threshold increases Once again, allowing you to go faster and farther. And we're fully in the anaerobic zone here. Almost red. We're working. Keeping the cadence nice and high. Tempo's up. Heart rate's up. And it looks like we have a little break coming up here. Well, the Helm Cam is what most training videos are shot with. I'm not a fan. Doesn't matter how hard you try to hold your head still. Let's just try and focus on the workout here. Keeping the heart rate up in the mid-80s. And we got a nice little break here. So this is the dip in the heart rate profile. So let's just rest it up here. And let's start pedaling. Low resistance. Yeah, nice little break here. So we can enjoy the views a little bit. Keep our body in motion. Burn some calories. And yet another catch-up point here. Rolling on out. Starting off with a little hill here. Pedal our way back up to 80%. We got a little hill here. very little. Nice neutral gear. Just keeping the body warm. And easy gear. Christine off to our right. She's just a high performance work engine. I never saw her tire once. Just kept on going. Rode her own ride. But she rode it fast. Got a bit of a hill here, so let's add some resistance. Just a little bit. Get the legs warmed back up. And down. At least as far as I can tell. And up. The gear ratio is low here because the pedaling cadence is really high. And a little hill here. Not a big one. Bringing up the heart rate. Keeping the pedaling cadence up. Just add a little resistance. Bring up the heart rate. Taking a little off, keeping the cadence nice and high. And it looks like we have nice solid effort coming up. Slowing up here. Looking for traffic. See, obviously. And nice smooth road. We got the front, so let's add a little resistance, simulate a bit of a headwind. Sorry, I'm lying. That's going to happen soon enough here. Keep the pedaling cadence nice and high. Add some resistance and get on the wheel. A little bit more. Keeping the tempo up here. Slowly bringing up the heart rate. We got a bit of a crosswind here. Staying in an echelon. Trying to keep it tight so there's enough room behind me for another wheel sucker. Let's come around, add a little extra resistance. Let's get the heart rate up. Got a bit of a hill here. Big ring up front. Let's feel the hill. Nice positive pressure through the legs. Good climbing cadence between 80 to 85. Let's really bring up the heart rate. Almost over. Take off that resistance. See what I mean? We're working hard. Get on a wheel, drop the resistance down. and recover. Add some resistance as we're going up a little grade here. About a half turn. We're still in a draft. Got a little break coming up, and then a nice little sprint climb ahead. Easy gear. Soft pedal or coast. Here's our last little climb before rest stop. Keep the pedaling cadence high. Add a click. And let's start ascending. More and more pressure through the legs. The hill comes quick. Nice solid effort here. Bring it up over the top. And back down the backside. Take out a little resistance at a time. And let your heart rate come down. And soft pedal. Let's just rest here. We'll start out the low heart rate. Take a little break. Get yourself ready, because this is a tough finish. Let your legs know that you're going to push them hard. And let yourself know that you're not going to give it up. At our first effort, coming right up. Keep the legs loose. And add some resistance here. And we're going to have fun on the next couple of hills. Out of the saddle, a couple of sprints. A couple races. Let's add some resistance here. Begin our climb. Get our heart rate into the 80s. Steep little hill, big ring up front. Stay in the saddle, stay controlled. Get the heart rate up. And back down. Soft pedal. You can see the next hill, and you can see the spike in the heart rate. It's a good little out of the saddle climb. Let's add a little acceleration here. Pick up the heart rate. Keeping the cadence nice and high. Keeping the legs loose. Heart rate right around 80%. Let's hunt down that wheel. Adding some resistance. Right here we're starting to feel it. Nice and heavy on the legs. Big ring up front. And shoot for 95% of max here. Come on. Big ring. Big heavy gear. 10 out of 10. Out of the saddle. Slowing it up. Still pedaling. Let the heart rate drop slowly. And soft pedal or coast. Don't let the legs freeze up. We're just slowing down here for the group again. Also making things hard on ourselves. Letting our heart rate drop real low, just so we have the pleasure of lifting it right back up again. Gonna start picking up our speed here. There's our next little climb right there. Not quite as fast as the last one, but enough. Keep the legs rolling and turning. Nice high cadence, easy gear. Start adding some resistance. Big gear up front, big ring, 7 out of 10. Feeling positive. Pressure through the legs, mashing down on the pedals. Keep it going. And take some off.
little downhill coast. Once we start hammering it at home, I'm not going to have much to say. We're going to raise the effort up quickly. We're going to keep the pressure on the legs. And we're going to just maintain that until we roll into our destination. So let's keep the legs loose. Try and recover. And here we go. That's John in the car up front. He was in the other ride, the Minnesota Rollers. Felt ill, but couldn't miss out on the ride. So now he's pacing us home. Let's get that heart rate up. A nice little climb here. Big ring up front. We're going to really attack it. Let's get out of the saddle and get our heart rates up. Get back in the saddle. Keep cranking. Watch the cadence. Keeping it high. "12 minutes to go." kind of a hill. You pick your resistance. Hang on to the cadence. Keeping the pace up. Nice high cadences. A little bit of resistance. See what I mean about that guy? Staying in the draft. Give yourself a break. And there goes his wife. After her. Whoosh. Get the resistance up. So we pull her in. Yeah, a little break here. Almost there. This last little segment, nice mad dash for the finish. Stay tucked into the draft. Little hill, sprint up to the top. Get the heart rate back up. Get that heart rate up. Really working here.
Got a hill and a crazy lady. Come on. Don't let the legs quit on you. Back into the wind. Feel those attachment points at the hip. Nice high cadence. Keeping the efforts high. At a hill. One last effort to the top. Almost there. Sorry. Real high cadence. Don't choke on the water. Add some resistance. Keep the tempo up. Pretend we're not hurting. Smile. Last surge. And down. That's soft pedal the rest of the way. Try and recover what we can in the last 2 minutes, minute and a half. Oh, that was fun.